Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we asked the question, can I tell the difference between cheap and expensive bourbon? Run the video. Alright then folks, thank you for joining us for another new and exciting episode here on the Whiskey Cove, where we will be answering the number one question. If I can tell the difference between cheap and expensive bourbon. We've picked some whiskey that is in the same family as each other to make it as fair a test as we can. If you're not a subscriber around here, you definitely want to consider being one. As we get to 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers, we are doing a huge 6-bottle giveaway. So far we've announced 2 bottles. One is an old Rip Van Winkle 10-year, and then the second is the international exclusive 1-liter rare breed. This is the non-chill filtered one. So much better than the original one. If you want to be in with a chance to win those and other bottles, go down below in the description after this video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because you have to be subscribed, and then go over to the Whiskey Cove's website. The link again is down below in the description, and go and submit your ticket. We will do a live stream. We'll do a huge giveaway. You don't have to be present for the live stream, but it might be pretty cool to hang out there as well. With that being said, let's get into today's video, shall we? And as you can see, we have 2 different distilleries on the table. We have Michter's and we have Old Forester. We have 2 relatively cheap whiskies in comparison to their counterparts. So we have the Michter's US 1 Bourbon. This is coming in at a modest 45.7% ABV or 91.4 proof. We also have the Michter's 10-year Bourbon, same mash bill on this one. This is coming in at 47.2% or 94.4 proof. Very close. I don't think I'll be able to tell the small differences of those proof. Will the age come into factor? We will wait and see. Next up from Old Forester, we have 2 absolute bangers. We have the Old Forester 1920. This is coming in at 57.5% or 115 proof. And then we have a big boy. This is the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. This is 2024 release, and this is coming in at 53.5% or 107 proof. So this is a little less proof than maybe this partner in over here. But would it make a difference with the extra age? Would that come through that maybe extra youthfulness? We will wait and see. So what we've done already, we've poured these whiskies into the glasses down below. We're letting them sit and open up here a little bit, and I can tell you right now, it is quite effervescent. But before we get into this blind, a quick 1-minute advert from our sponsors here. So if you don't already know, we do a lot of collaborations with ZBiotics. They've been a 1-year sponsor of this channel, and they are great that they're able to support us for giveaways like we already do. So ZBiotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic drink and is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So go ahead, hit that link down below in the description after this video for 15% off your first order. That works on subscription services too, and ZBiotics is backed by 100% money back guarantee, so you always have that safety net. Thank you to ZBiotics for sponsoring today's video, and also thank you so much for you folks at home for supporting my sponsors that support me here. So with that being said, we have this blind. So I'm going to do these 2 by 2. I've mixed the glasses up, but only within the family or the distillery, if you like. Let's start with Michter's because the Old Forester has a little higher ABV here. So again, no idea which ones are which back here. Michter's 10, I don't know if this is going to be Michter's 10, but just talking about Michter's 10 because it is this first one. I don't know if it's worth the money. It's about a $250 bottle, maybe around 200. And then the US Bourbon one is about $40 to $50. Is there going to be a big difference? We'll have to wait and see. Cheers. This is glass number 1. A lot of brown sugar on this, real sweet note on the front, a lot of sweetness there. I think that Michter's do a really great job. Again, a bunch of sweetness in their whiskies. Again, a touch of wood, touch of cherry, classic bourbon notes. A very vanilla forward, maybe a little bit of oak there in the background. No heat really kicking out of the glass. Little bacon spices there playing around in the background. Not really any pepper. I mean, it's quintessential bourbon, but it just doesn't have that heat that really kicks up. Of course, this isn't got the ABV with it, but that might be a good sign, you never know. Maybe a little peaches and cream vibe going on there too. Let's go in for a taste. This is glass 1. This is very rich on the mouth. There was a little more spice, actually, on the palate than I was expecting. I thought off the nose, we weren't really going to get much spice on this whatsoever. However, pleasantly surprised. Quite a lot of rye spice there as well. And also a kind of really nice oak tannin note that does dry out the mouth. It doesn't drink as sweet as what I was expecting it to. Does that mean that it's a 10-year bourbon? Not necessarily. I think you can sometimes get some good 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old bourbons that can drink quite tanniny. However, generally what that means for me personally is that the whiskey is around 10 years plus. Let's go in for one last taste, yeah? Definitely is a little sappy, a little rich on the palate, and a little resiny there too. And then you also get maybe more of that spice, the transition more from like a rye spice into a little bit of like a bacon spice, like an allspice, so to speak. And then on the back end, you get a lot more, maybe those leathers and those tannins. Great start, such a quintessential bourbon. Let's cleanse our palate and move into glass 2. Okay, now we move into glass 2. And again, these are not lined up in any specific order. These are just the way that we set them out in the beginning. I mean, straight off the bat, the only thing I can say is that it doesn't carry the wood characteristics as the first one. It has similar sorts of sweeter notes there, and again, plenty of that cherry too, but it's a little more subdued. It's like almost if I left this glass out a little while longer than this one. Again, does that equate to anything? We will see. Much more delicate on the front end, much more lighter. Again, not much spice, no heat whatsoever. Let's go in for a taste, glass 2. So this doesn't have the spice that the first one has. Yes, it was more delicate on the nose, and that has carried through to the main palate. Maybe some toasted bread, some toffee and caramel notes there too. A little bit of like caramel drizzled on apple type vibe. There's some sort of fruit going on there. It's not really cherry, it's a little more brighter and fresher on that. Think like your apples and your pears, that sort of thing. Doesn't have the finish that the first one has. It's very, very pleasant to drink, a very nice, easy, neat sipper. I don't know what this is. Well, I'm not going to reveal what I think it is, I should say that. However, a great bottle of whiskey for someone. I just think that it is unmatched to the first one thus far. So we'll come back to what I think they are at the end. We will reset the palette and go into these two fun ones. So I'm a big Michter's fan, but then when I look over, I see these two awesome bottles. I get very excited. So Old Forester 1920 is generally a $50 to $60 bottle of whiskey, which is a lot of money for a lot of people, and myself too, I get that. But a great bottle of whiskey, criminally underrated, very findable, great ABV, great proof, great price, solid bottle of whiskey. And then we also have the very harder to find brother that is the birthday bourbon, and this is the first bottle of birthday bourbon I've ever owned, and this is the first bottle that I've been able to crack and own and drink and enjoy. We did a review on it too, so I'm very excited to get into that. I don't know which one is which over here, but this one cost me what was it? $250. I can't remember if it was $250 or $300. I think it might have been. I think the MSRP on this day is $250, so I think I paid $300, but I paid $50 more than the MSRP, and I was still fortunate that I was able to get it for that, so I'm very happy that I was able to find that. So this is 12 years old, this is undisclosed, but we're thinking 6 to 8 years too. So we've labeled them glass 1 and glass 2, so let's go in and have a taste on glass 1. Big price difference on these two, as these ones are a little close to like $200 in this one. MSRP, these are probably about $200 too, but if we're talking like black market and secondary prices, this is like a $700, $800 bottle, so big gulf in price difference if you're thinking of those other markets. As I said, glass 1. Old Forester has a lot more yeasty notes, and sometimes when I have yeasty notes and flavors from whiskey, I really don't like it associated with craft whiskey, but it's just something about what Old Forester are able to do to really blend that in with a lot of the charred barrel notes and the really nice sweet syrupy notes, like the pancakes and waffles and syrup and all those kind of classic American breakfast dish notes, and it all just comes together so well. But normally the first nose I have at any Old Forester usually is that yeasty caramel popcorn note that kind of pops off in my nose. Brown sugar, butterscotch. It's just that classic American breakfast dish, right? You know, chocolate chip pancakes, get that maple syrup drizzled on top. No spice, really sweet. Not picking up a bunch of wood in the back. Like I said, maybe new charred American oak, that nice fresh toasted oak barrel note. Let's go in for a taste here, glass 1. There's a little bit of a peppercorn note on the front there, like that little sting on your tongue there, which is effervescent. There's like a little bit of a kick up in ABV. Really nice sweetness there, kind of swarms in that brown sugar, maple syrup sweetness. It's really nice there. And then towards the back end, it dries out a little bit. And then that keeps that finish going, and going. But there's enough sweetness in this that it lends to a longer finish and makes it a little bit more pleasurable. So you're not left with like a tobacco or like a fresh leather note. It's much more balanced, I guess, is what I'm saying. But a great start so far on the Old Foresters. I keep pushing, like I'm drinking this one. I don't know what I'm drinking. Cleanse the palate, move into number 4. Still not this bottle, I don't know. But yes, we'll go into glass 4. There you go. Okay, the glass 4. I haven't really been looking at them in the glass, to be fair. Not because it's going to tell me anything, but generally a longer aged whiskey can be a little bit darker, but I haven't looked at them at all. Really nice cherry notes straight off the back. Like a lot of old fashioned style vibes. You get a lot of the whiskey, maybe some Demerara sugars and Angus star bitters. A big old heaping of a nice dark cherry, some syrup. Very syrupy, I guess is what I'm saying, with some cherry notes. A lot more cream on this one. A lot more vanillas that are coming through in a very pleasant way that is blending some of that kind of old-fashioned type notes too. Like a little bit of a zest of orange or lemon in there. Let's go in for a taste here. A lot going on the palate in this next one. It kicks up in heat quite a lot, and you are getting a lot more spice there too. Maybe actually some earthy notes to boot as well. Not as spicy as it was on the nose, truth be told. A lot more peppery on the palate. Doesn't dry out as much. You do have a little bit of sweetness there, but there is definitely a little less balance, I should say, with this one compared to whatever this was. Let's go in for one more taste here. This one actually comes across as maybe a little bit astringent. There's something that's going on there. Maybe that's coming off the coattails of this that doesn't quite line up with what I remember these two whiskies to be like. However, maybe this is just my palate on the day. But like I said, it comes across maybe more savory, more earthy. Then, like I said, there's a little brown sweetness there, but a little out of sync for today. And again, sometimes when you're doing these blinds, depending where the bottles are, can really impact how well they do. However, I'm in a little bit of a funk with this one. So let's start over here and let me think what I think, let me see what whiskey I think these are. So glass number 1, I'm pretty much sure that this was the Michter's 10. And I feel like this was the Michter's US 1. I feel like this one was more complete, more well-rounded. It was more balanced through the middle. It had a much more of a longer finish, a much better richness in the mouthfeel too. So let's have a look what it was. So that is going to be A for Alpha, and I have my guide here, A for Alpha, and exactly that. It was Michter's 10, and let's just make sure here that is B, and that is going to be the Michter's US 1. Yeah, that was a lot more easier than this was, let me tell you that for a start. As soon as I tried the Michter's 10, I thought that's what it was, and I was like, whoa, is Michter's US 1 really this good? And kind of was hoping I was wrong on this one. However, this is a good drinking, sipping whiskey. If there's someone who's getting into whiskey and who kind of likes to want to drink whiskey neat and is looking for something more approachable and doesn't explode the palate, I would definitely recommend the Michter's US 1. Great bottle of whiskey for the price, just really couldn't compete with the Michter's 10. However, let's go on to the second part of this. So we have one right here. So I'm going to say that this glass here is the birthday bourbon. I'm going to say that this is the 1920. So I thought that this had a great nose. I think it had an awesome palate, where I thought that this had a fantastic nose, a little dysfunctional palate, truth be told. So let's see what it is. and this is going to be D, and that is the birthday bourbon, and then C, that is Old Forester 1920. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that 1920 is still a great whiskey. It tells us the US 1 Michters is also still a great whiskey. But when you're getting up maybe into the premium numbers in terms of dollars spent, it does take you generally to a new classification of whiskey. And I'm not saying you have to spend $200 or $300. You can definitely find great quality whiskey out there, mostly sometimes on shelf, sometimes highly allocated, for around about $75 to $100. And you can, be able to drink that and really notice the difference. Yes, you might be someone out there who just drinks maybe an Old Forester 1920 and you'll think this is the best stuff ever, and it is really good. However, it's not maybe until you experience some of the other stuff that you can recognize that there is maybe a little bit of a kind of uptick in quality. I wish the prices on these were lower, and truth be told, they definitely and probably should be. However, if you're willing to pay, maybe make that 1 bottle a year special, then you're gonna look in a good place to these 2 bottles, if you can find them, of course. So at the beginning, we asked the question, could this guy recognize a cheap whiskey compared to a very expensive whiskey? And I think I did okay. Like I said, this was a lot harder, but we got 2 out of 2. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget about the giveaway where you can win some awesome bottles. Go down in the description after this video, put in your ticket, make sure you subscribe, and definitely hit that bell icon too. So anytime we put out a new video and we update whenever we're gonna drop a new bottle into the lottery, you will be the first to know. As we drink through the world's whiskies, 1 glass at a time. Cheers.